Alright, is my stuff working? Please tell me it's working! Uh... Okay, good. Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to today's Daily Peek. The... the daily series where I attempt to challenge today's randomly generated map in the hit game Peak. I... I had a moment just before this. I was bringing out my my microphone. I was bringing out my microphone to the position it's supposed to be in. And so I mentioned the other day how it's been really wobbly for whatever reason. And when I brought it out, the whole thing just dropped. Like off the stand. I managed to fix it, but that gave me a startle. I was worried I had broken my mic for a minute. Oh. Anyways, it is absolutely wonderful to be back once again. Now I am going to go ahead and take my morning meds. I'll be taking them with a lost and found root beer flavored energy drink. If you guys have any meds to take, I would recommend you do so as well. Bleh. It tastes bad every time. Alright. That's my meds. I'm taking out my vitamins. My vitamins. I need to refill these. Because this shit is almost empty. Why do I have 6 notifications? I should only have 2 on Discord. What's happening? Okay, 2 from my live stream, 1 from one of my information servers, and 3 DMs. Huh. Alright, nothing big. Good. Was briefly worried something had exploded. Alright, well, without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Root beer. Is root beer. Alrighty. I had an interesting afternoon yesterday. So... Okay. A little bit ago, my mom was looking for help because she needed a new logo for her running team this year for a race that she's done past several years, at least 3, I think. Um, so, you know, asked me to help out with that. I was like, sure, I'll see what I can do short notice. See if I can get things as cheap as possible, you know. It's like she knows a graphic designer, or she knows a kid who is in a lot of design spaces. I'm not actually a graphic designer, but... So, threw some stuff together, it did a quick little sketch of just like the idea I had off the top of my head, contacted a friend of mine who needs to do like some stuff for graphic design portfolio, whatever. Anyway, went through, like, gave him the sketch, got something back. It was, you know, and when my ma came back to me to ask, like, hey, any progress on that? I I brought out the silly little sketch I had made first because I was like, oh, this is so bad. Surely this will be a funny moment and not her believing this is an actual proposal. She preferred it over the graphic designer's option. I made a new version of the logo myself to keep like the same sketchy thing but make it a little more polished. I'm still convinced she prefers the sketch. I'm in hell. Like, not really. As long as she's got something she's happy with, I'm fine. It's just wild to me. You know, ultimately, the thing that matters is she is happy with the result. But, like, oh my god. The amount of psychic damage I took yesterday. But yeah, it's something. I would put up the logos so y'all can see them, but it has like the actual team name and yeah, that stuff. And y'all could trace that back if you were truly the obsessive types. And of course I deeply fantasize that I am attracting the obsessive types here. I don't know that though. Hey, how's it going, Zane? I am just out here talking about some graphic design work I did. But yeah, preferred the sketch. I don't know what to do with that. I couldn't replicate that on purpose again if I tried. You know? Anyway. Nice to hear you're doing good. I'm doing good overall. Aside from the wild moment of, you know, the graphic design stuff that happened yesterday. Somehow I slept better than usual. So I am at least a little bit chipper this morning, which is a good change of pace. Blech. I have breathing issues when I sleep. So yeah, especially recently, I've been having a lot of issues there. But I have been awake for all of like an hour, and I'm feeling wonderful. I think. I may have gone to sleep, woken up for a couple hours, forgot about that, and gone back to sleep, and that's why I feel wonderful. Because I had, like, a nap after my sleep. Now that I think about it, the details of my morning are really fuzzy. So, that may have happened. Where the fuck am I going? Ooh, airplane food. I saw someone walking by. I think it was just a shadow going in front of skylight. Yeah. Notably, I've been streaming with my door open for the last few days, so I'm worried about, like, waking someone up. Cause I get a little loud. You know, every so often. It happens. Oh, yeah. Don't worry about that. If you stop breathing when you fall asleep, then your body will wake you up automatically. It's actually very good at doing that. Ask me how I know. Yeah, I had a sleep study relatively recently, and the technician there revealed that I had like 47 respiratory incidents in the 2 hours I was asleep. Which is, and this is true, too many. Apparently, when I go to sleep, I just immediately start suffocating. But, you know, at no point did I die, so that's good. And this has presumably been happening for at least 6 years, potentially my whole life. The way I say 6 to 22 years, because I actually don't entirely know. Originally, I was like, oh, I've probably had this since I was a kid. I have a long history of, you know, waking up tired and all that. But I didn't have nearly as many sleep issues when I was a kid. And it's kind of a toss-up between just youthful energy, and the potential that, I've always had some level of, like, sleep apnea, But it got worse after COVID because, you know, the plague. And like a ton of people are having a lot of long-term issues following that. And it's like back during the COVID years, I got so sick that I couldn't hear. So some kind of upper respiratory infection, and then I got something else while I had that. It absolutely sucked, in case you're curious. But yeah, there is a chance that, yeah. Anyway, my doctor told me to stay away from any kind of sedative medications because if I take too many of those, my body might not be able to wake itself up when I stop breathing. So as long as you don't do that, even if you do stop breathing in your sleep, you'll be fine. Again, your body's very good at stopping you from dying. This is a topic that comes up relatively frequently on this channel for whatever reason. Like, the whole purpose of your brain and your body as a system is to keep itself alive. So it will always attempt to intervene. So you need not worry about not breathing in your sleep. Unless you are, like, under anesthesia or whatever, you should be fine. Oh, huh. Hey, now that I've said that out loud... Okay, so... There's been a few times when I've had to go in for surgery, because I've had a lot of dental issues throughout my life. And every time I have been talked down from getting, like, a full-on knockout surgery, because it's like, I don't want to be awake for that. But aside from the fact that it's, like, more expensive, there's, like, separate recovery things. It's probably good that I've been fairly regularly talked out of that, because, I have had sleep apnea issues for a hot minute and didn't know about it. If I got, like, full-on sedative treatment, there may have been unexpected complications with those procedures. I... Now that we've talked about this, I've discovered a new fun way in which I could have died. Yeah, thankfully I have never been under sedatives that strong. Oh shit, that's been an issue with my sleep meds, too. Because I've been taking, sedative sleep meds every so often. Or rather, I have been prescribed them, but haven't been taking them. Because I had this thing where, if I took my sleep meds, I would always wake up, even more exhausted than usual, and, like, usually a little out of breath, having just had, like, a nightmare or whatever. And I attributed the out-of-breathness to the nightmare. But now that I think about it, my brain may have been throwing nightmares at me because it was trying to wake me up because I couldn't breathe. So I'd wake up super out of breath after like an adrenaline rush woke me up. It's like, I don't know. I think these sleep meds are giving me nightmares, and so I don't want to take them. And I guess technically that's what was happening. Wow! Hi, Zane. I understand that this conversation is probably not helping with your anxiety. You know, I'm sitting here listing out fun ways in which I could have died because I stopped breathing in my sleep. And that's a problem I have. That's like an actual I've got sleep apnea. It's been affecting me for years. I understand that me listing these off is probably not helping your anxiety, but like imagine how I feel. Listing off these things that I haven't really thought about in depth before and realizing, oh, I could have died like a lot of times. Anyway, looks like we're almost at the top of the shore. Oh. You love to have realizations. Lovely. Okay. God, I could have died in so many interesting ways. This actually leads me kind of nicely into a theory that I have developed in some sense. So there is this concept relating to the many worlds interpretation, basically, of like quantum physics, where it's like every time you make a decision, a new universe is created in which you made a different decision or whatever. I have like the pet theory that the universe as it is, um it's in part based off of this one thing that I believe Justin Rosniak said on the show Well There's Your Problem, an engineering disasters podcast. When it was like remarked on some dramatic story he had where it was like, oh, that could have killed me. And he was like, it's like, sometimes I know you're a very risk averse guy. Sometimes I hear these stories and I'm like, and how is he alive? And, of course, Raz responded, well, I can only tell you the stories because I'm still alive to tell you about them. And I kind of had the moment of, oh yeah, that's true pretty universally. Like, you can only keep telling stories as long as you are alive to keep telling them. So I have pet theory about the nature of consciousness, wherein, like, whatever universe you are on is the one wherein you have survived the longest. Because every universe in which you died is like a branching path that was cut off or whatever. So the one that you will experience consciously is the one in which you have the most continuity of consciousness for the longest period of time. You know? So it's like, I go in here and I talk about, like, oh, I could have died in a very interesting way there. And some part of my brain is like, you know, there is probably, like, an alternate reality wherein I did die in an interesting way there. But, like, I was never going to experience that reality, because the version of you that is conscious is going to be the one that survives the longest. Like, circumstances, the choices you make, everything aligns itself in a certain way to make it so, like, the version of you that keeps existing is the one that has survived. You will always make it as far as possible, you know? I think that's true, like, universally. Wherein it's like anyone who is conscious is going to experience the reality wherein they were conscious the longest. And it's like many worlds interpretation, that's all true. There is a world out there in which the, like, longest you survived, like, your brain, whatever, as long as you are the person telling the story, you are always going to be the you that survived the longest, right? If that makes sense. And that's not like a solipsist, like, I am the only person that exists, the universe only exists because I live in it. It's more just like as a byproduct of consciousness, I guess. The one that you see is the one in which you have survived the longest. There are a million other worlds out there wherein that isn't the case, and a ton of other stuff happened. But you are in the one where you are still alive, and you always will be. That helps to calm a lot of my personal anxieties about things. About just, like, random chance, like, oh, a meteor falls through your roof. And it's like, that's not going to happen, because A, it's very unlikely. But B, if it was gonna happen, it wouldn't happen to me, because I am the, like, point of view here. And I'm only gonna see the world in which I survived the longest. So it's very unlikely that the last possible thing which could have killed me is a random chance piece of space junk hitting you. You know? That's just a distant car beeping. Like, yeah, it's one of those things wherein, a lot of people have, like, a lot of stories of, like, oh yeah, I almost died doing this or that or whatever. And it's just my personal theory is you're gonna have a lot of those. Because there's a lot of times in which you could have almost died, and according to the Many Worlds interpretation, did. But the version of the story that you are going to observe, the only one you're ever going to see is the one in which you were alive the longest. It's like those other universes still happened, and maybe it's someone else's longest consciousness streak. But it's not yours, so you aren't going to experience that random chance death. Unless it is the very last possible time in which you could have died. But, like, usually that's not true. It's one of those I have said several times before. The only failure state to life is death. You know? So when I feel like I am, you know, hopeless, I have kind of like a lost track, lost purpose, I remember that the only way to fail is to die. You know? So you can't be a failure unless you are dead. And the world that you see, that you are going to consciously process, is going to be the one in which you survived the longest. So no matter what, you are always seeing the world in which you were the most successful. It doesn't always feel the best. But that's a different question. About whether or not it feels great. It's like, no, this is the one where you lived the longest. You had the most time here. You know? And everyone experiences their own version of that. Or at least that's my theory. Which, again, mostly serves to help soothe my anxiety about random chance deaths. If I have a close call and I sit here like I could have died there, I can help push back on the anxiety with I could have, but I wasn't going to. Because I'm the me that stays alive the longest. It helps. Sometimes. Mostly with various elements of agoraphobia. And, like, you know, decision paralysis or whatever. If I am really feeling, like, the maximum amount of bad, I can always pull out the, okay, well, whatever I choose, it's not going to kill me. And the only way to really fail is to die. So whatever choice I make, you know, it's gonna be the one in which I do not die. And, like, short of that, you know, it doesn't, like, the extra consequences of that don't matter as much. Because you're not dead, so it's not like you failed. You know, there's always going to be a point where you can pick up, where you can keep going. That's how I cope with a lot of the issues of, like, randomness of, like, oh, I could have, you know, I could stop breathing in my sleep any night and suffocate and die. Or, you know, random heart attack or stroke or whatever. And the running theory that I have to have in order to not have a mental breakdown as a result of thinking about that is that variation of, okay, that could happen to other people, but it won't happen to me. Because I'm the me that survives the longest, and I'm nowhere near the age in which that would be, like, a reasonable or common method of death. You know? This is surprisingly effective. Like, as a theory, I have managed to pull myself out of a few notably bad panic attacks with that one. So, you know, if it works. Of course, pulled from the statement, if it's stupid and it works, then it's not stupid. Which is another core belief of mine, in case you're curious. I maintain a lot of, like, big ethics along those lines. Mostly because I have had a lot of perfectionist tendencies in my past. And those are very good at paralyzing you. So to cope with that, I have been doing a lot of like processing with the extra statement of, like, okay, it doesn't actually need to be perfect, right? It just needs to be what, like, people want. You know, in terms of, like, art, at least. God damn it. That was the worst. I just got butted off a cliff by a beetle. Okay. Well, no. It's a very good way to help combat perfectionist tendencies, is to remind yourself that, you know, success is a yes no. It's a binary option. And it's, are you dead yet, is the question. And as long as you're answering yes, you're succeeding. That's the core. That's what biology wants from you. Is are you dead? Yes or no? No, then you're good. And the personal belief of, okay, whatever path you end up taking is going to be the one wherein you survived the longest. That is the version of history that you are going to see and consciously process. You know? It's like, it doesn't need to be like the best possible timeline. It's the one where you lived. That's my thought. So I can do a lot of like calming myself down from stuff where it's like, okay, regardless of what choice I make, if I'm having like analysis paralysis, this is the one where I live. And as long as that is still true, which it has to be because I'm experiencing it, then I'm not going to fail because whatever choice I make next is going to be the one that contributes to the universe in which I survived the longest. And that is the only one that you see. Because in all the other ones, you're dead. That's the trade-off of that is the reason that you are only seeing the one in which you survived the longest is because you're dead in all the other ones. And that like biological imperative of like, are you dead, yes or no, being the success option, um links up with that like many worlds interpretation of like, you are only going to see the one in which you personally survived the longest, you know. It's like that doesn't mean anything for anyone else. Like everyone has their own version of that they're living out. It doesn't necessarily intersect with yours, but you're always going to be living on the most successful path. So whatever choice you make, it's the one where you live, at least. And it might suck, you know? You might make a choice where everything sucks. That's fine. 'Cause you won't die. That's the level that I have to operate on to like keep myself sane. It doesn't kill you. Whatever it is, it doesn't kill you. Alright. Well, I think that's about it for today's Daily Peak. I would like to thank everybody who turned up. I appreciate all of your viewership. And hopefully, I will be seeing all of you guys again next time. Bye. Bleh. Oh, I hit the X button on my OBS instead of the stop streaming button. Whoops.